Yo, what's going on? This is your man Ryan Righteous, and this is the Independent Artist Spotlight presented by Next Level Provision. Yo, I've been waiting on this one, y'all. Oh man, I've been excited for this one, man. I got Matt Mogg just sitting on the hot seat today.
Ain't nobody even gonna touch the boy. I'm up with joy, I must destroy anybody wanna rap, but I'll front the hoy. Cause I'm about to hit him back with a punch of Floyd. All of my tracks got a gun deployed. Fourth down, go back, I'ma punt you boys. So sick with a flow, got Trump annoyed. No debate, you ain't never interrupt the boy. Look, I take the ploy to hate the boy that's making noise. Flow, God, that spark, don't hate the Croy. Every rapper my kid tell to spank the boys. Dark fitter like Jake the Lloyd. Want the joy, they want the boy to peel it back. I murder rap, the curse and back. To heard me laugh, I burnt the last. Top all of my game, boy, really cause the first is last. I can switch up in a minute if you try to speak on me. I'm not here to listen if you talking like you own me. I done let loose, but they wanna not owe me. Throwing up deuce, maybe time to go lonely. Maybe pop a pill and put a front on when I want to. But I gotta swerve it for the road that I've been on to. Way that I've been living, I don't think that I can keep it all together. I can never be the one that y'all look up to. But I just can't take it. I'm so petty, I might make a diss track for my best friend. Leave a little dot, dot, dot when the text end. Just cause he was hating, I'll say that I appreciate it. I promise it's entertaining, but I'm so cocky, I be rapping like I came up from the bottom. When they listen to me, all the greatest rappers, they forgot them. Tell me how you.
And I'm super excited to talk to him, man. We're gonna get into the new song, Be Your Man. We're gonna talk about the different vibes and moves and how he's been moving throughout CHH. He's got the R&B, he's got the hip hop. He even did a song with Futuristic, y'all. So we're gonna talk about why he would invite that man on his song only to kill that verse and take Futuristic completely out of the running, man. So we're gonna talk about that. He also is very candid about his struggles with mental illness, and so we're gonna ask him how he highlights that and how he overcame that and how God has just moved and touched through his life. And then we're gonna talk about the music, man. He's got new songs on the way. He's doing this all from Seattle, Washington. Excited for my man Matt Mogg in the building. Matt, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm so happy to be here.
Dude, I was excited to talk to you, man. DJ Jeremiah had highlighted you on the Cop It section, and I like to go in and listen to the artist. And I was floored. You hear me? Floored when I heard you, man. You've got this R&B vibe. You've got the hip hop vibe. You've got bars, and I mean, social media is popping. You're doing such a great job. I really think you're the next man up. Talk about all the music, man. You make a lot of music about romance. Who's this young lady behind the songs, man? Who is Be Your Man all about?
Man, that's funny you asked that. I actually made that song like it's right now. It's January 17th. I made that song Christmas Eve, so like a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I make a lot of songs about romance. I make a lot of love songs. I make a lot of heartbreak songs. Some of it's very literal and like based on true situations. Some of it's a little bit like a mix of past stories. But yeah, this one was a little bit more based on recent events, so I don't want to get too into it without shouting anybody out. Yeah, haven't really shot the shot yet, so we'll see.
Talk about your whole process, right? You've been doing music since you were like early teens, right?
Yeah.
Producing out of your bedroom. You do tutorials for producers. You've mastered a craft and a skill. Talk about how you got to this level.
Man, so I'm 24 right now. I started when I was like 14, so I guess it's been about 10 years. And yeah, I started not knowing anything. I just started watching YouTube videos. I really wanted to make beats. I really wanted to be the next like producer in CHH. And I just kept watching YouTube videos, and it was really bad at first. It took me a long time to get anywhere, but just years and years of working on it every day. Like you'd be surprised, like a lot of people think you need to like grow up playing music or grow up with a musical background, but just from learning and surrounding yourself with the right people, you'd be surprised how far you can go.
How did you get so good? Like you don't just come out the gate, expert in vocals. Like how did all of that transpire?
Just practice, man. Like a lot of nights in my room, like voice cracking, trying to push myself to get better. And I'm lucky that like I grew up in the church. I have a lot of really talented musical friends, and I'm lucky enough that they were able to allow me to be with them and learn from them. And I've been able to sing at the church a little bit just to learn from people that their specialty is singing live and learning how they do it and trying to see how that can apply to my music.
And Christian hip hop. Talk about your walk with Christ, man. How did all that start for you?
So like I said, I grew up in the church, but it wasn't until I was probably 14, so about 10 years ago, around the same time I got into music, when I really accepted the Lord and I really made my faith my own.
Yeah.
And I'm super grateful that I've always had really great older men in my life. Like my older brother, he's about 6 years older than me, and he was around. He was the one that invited me to a Bible study when I was 14, and
Oh, nice.
just got plugged in with a great group of guys, and was able to see how their walk with the Lord changed them, and I realized that's what I wanted.
Talk about your struggles with mental illness, man. Looking at you, hearing your music, it's hard to imagine, but I believe that that's because there's a myth behind people who struggle with mental illness. It's supposed to look a certain way. You were supposed to be raised a certain way. Talk about your struggles there, and where's the Lord brought you from?
Man, so like I said, it's been a lot of ups and downs, and I think growing up, it was always really hard for me to be vulnerable with people. And that was what really made it a struggle growing up, was to be dealing with something and not knowing if it's okay to talk about it. And so you just keep it in, and it just gets worse and worse over time. And once it builds up, it's never good. And so, yeah.
That's really good. You touched on something that I wanted to come back to, Mary. You do a lot, like a lot of music. Has music played a big part in you overcoming your struggles?
100%, because like I said, I've always struggled with being vulnerable and just being open about what I'm going through. And I was a super quiet kid growing up, and for whatever reason, when I'd sit down to make music, I was okay with saying whatever.
Wow.
And
That's
so
good.
yeah, when you're writing it, you're not thinking like, oh, I'm gonna put this out for everybody to hear. You're just thinking, I'm getting whatever's on my mind out, which is probably why some of the more romantic songs, I'm a little started talking about them a little too early. But yeah, on like a more serious note, it's always been a way throughout high school and my early 20s. Like it was definitely a dark time, and even though I was walking with the Lord, and even though I was trying to work on my relationship with God as much as possible, there was just some times when I didn't know who to go to for me to open up about the things I'm struggling with inside. And it's kind of been a way for me to make a song, show it to my friends, and they're like, oh, that's cool, but like let's talk about what you said. Like let's go a little deeper into what's going on. But yeah.
Those are good friends. Those are good friends. They hear beyond the music. They hear beyond the beat. They hear beyond the vibe. They hear beyond the pattern and the delivery, and they actually hear the words, man. That is really good to hear. So tell me more about your musical journey, right? You invited Futuristic on a track. You smashed it, and I'll be
Thank you.
telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Not being biased. I closed my eyes because I heard you mention, you did who had the better verse. So I closed my eyes, and yeah, bro, you smashed it. You smashed it very, very openly. Talk about what that collaboration was like for you and some of the other folks you've worked with.
That one meant a lot, because I grew up in high school. I grew up listening to CHH, but there was also a group of non-CHH artists that were a big influence on me. And Futuristic was a really cool one to follow, because he was always working with some of the CHH guys. Like he was always working with No Big Deal, NF, Andy Mineo. And so he was kind of someone I saw as, even though his music was a little bit more explicit, a little bit more mainstream than I was going for, a guy that I saw that was able to do both. His music meant a lot to me. And so a couple years before we did the song, he was doing these remix contests, and I would always enter them, and there was 2 of them where I finished in the top 10, and I got to connect with him a little bit, and that kind of planted the seed for the song. And in 2021, I was down in Arizona. He did his first show after COVID, and I got invited up on the stage to rap with him, and it was one of the coolest moments of my life. And I don't know, it was just kind of like a dream come true moment. And so once I made the song, I was like, this is the one. I think he would kill this if he was willing to put a verse on, and luckily he was. And yeah.
How was it reaching out to him for that? Like,
it was a little nerve-wracking, because you never as a smaller artist want to be like reaching, you never want to be asking for favors. But that was one of those things where I had built up enough like history with him as far as doing those remixes and talking to him online and meeting him at a show. So I didn't feel like the biggest reach. And I knew if I was going to send him something, it had to be good. And I'm really proud of my verse. And so I love that song so much.
man, you you mentioned No Big Deal, you mentioned NF, you mentioned Andy Mineo. Who are some of the artists that you looked up to in CHH when you were coming up besides them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mineo, but Lecrae was the first one that me and my brothers heard when I was like 6 years old. So like
Wow.
from the jump, I was so lucky to be early on the I'd say like the boom of the Christian rap wave. But
You were.
yeah, and guys like Fizzle would do a show in Seattle every year for some church, and it was only like a 40-50 person show, but me and my brothers would go every year. And so Fizzle was a big influence early on, just hearing how like open he was about his story, because he just has such a crazy story. But yeah, musically, I love John Keith. I love all the indie tribe guys. I really like what they have going on. But yeah, I don't know, it shifts a lot. In the last couple of years, it's been some more underground guys too. And so, but I'm so happy that I grew up listening to the CHH space.
Yeah. What's your process like? Like, are you looking to like join a collective, start a label, sign to a label, remain independent, and just kind of like get your own thing going?
Right now, I'm trying to build a little bit more, because I've started to take a little bit of a new direction with music, like sonically. And so I want to get some more stuff out there, but I'm definitely open to joining a collective, definitely open to talking to a label. It's just obviously a matter of whether it's the right fit, right decision. You know, like there's so much that goes into it. But I've seen a lot of my peers in the last couple of years grow up and totally build a huge platform for themselves. So I'm definitely super inspired by guys like, I don't know if you're familiar with Gio or Henrik, but super inspired by how they've grown recently.
Okay, so here's a question for you. If you had to write a letter to CHH, what are some things that you would put in it?
I would first say thank you for just so many great memories and for being there for me when I was growing up. But I would also, I don't know, I used to have stronger opinions on this when I was younger. I used to think we needed to make more music to reach non-Christians. We needed to make more broad mainstream music. But outside of music, I actually work at a church, and I've come to realize that CHH in a lot of ways is kind of like churches. You can have your churches for new believers. You can have your churches for people that want to go really in depth on theology. And there's kind of a church for everybody. And I'm realizing there's CHH artists for everybody. There's someone that's a really good first artist for someone to check out. And then eventually you can throw them some of the guys that are talking a little bit more deep theology. And so I don't really know what I would say to CHH, to be honest. But I love how much diversity there is in the music right now. Yeah.
When I first got into CHH and first came into it, you know, you could kind of you could kind of count it off on your hand, like all the guys that were, you know, talking and doing something in the space that you could relate to. Now, man, everybody's coming from their own, you know, sect, and they have their own vibe, and they have their own, you know, way of communicating. And it's all really beautiful, man. As long as you love the Lord, I think that it's very much needed in this space. When you do like remixes, like a Frank Forrest remix that you did, what are some of the fan responses on those songs? Because I mean, you definitely have your own sound and your own vibe, man. But I would imagine that a fan of Forrest Frank, a fan of Hovey, would be a fan of yours too.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely got some great responses on the remixes. I will say I'm a little sad that these days it seems like remixes are dying. At least not in the same way they used to. Like, one of my favorite things growing up was when, I don't know, your favorite artist would hop on like a Lil Wayne beat and remix it, and hearing their version, and that was always really popular. And it doesn't seem like a lot of people are doing that as much these days because they're trying to promote their original music. It makes sense, but I love Forrest Frank. He's definitely a big inspiration. I love Hovey. And so there is a little bit of branding to the remixes, trying to see if their fan base likes your music too. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just grew up on the era of rap music where people were remixing each other's songs, and so I wanted to try to implement that into my own way if I could.
Yeah. Wow. So you mentioned that you're 24, right?
Yeah.
And you work outside you work outside of the music. You work in ministry. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I actually have a very different job, but I love what I do. I'm the social media manager at the church I grew up at.
That is dope.
Yeah, it's been super cool because one, I'm just getting so much experience that uh, around ministry and just seeing how just incredible like God is all the time. But
Yeah.
also getting experience behind a camera, getting experience editing is super helpful for what I do with music. And you just learn so much. And I'm surrounded by so many great people that I don't know. I'm super blessed to have this job.
Yeah. You mentioned that you were feeling like you have a local buzz in Seattle, right? Talk about the church, right? How have they embraced your music?
They've been awesome. It's the same church. I've been at this church for 9 years. So really the entire time I've been doing music, I've been at this church. And the first time I ever got to do anything on a stage was when I was 16. I got to do a little rap verse on a Sunday morning. First time I ever got to sing on a stage was during a worship set. And they've just really embraced the music, and it's been so cool. There's so many creatives at our church, and just being able to learn from them and collaborate with them has been amazing.
Did you have to warm them up to it, or were they already ready to embrace Christian rap when you?
It took some time. Living in Seattle, it's a little bit, even in the church, people are a little less into Christian rap
Of course.
than they would be elsewhere in the country. And so, but there's a bunch of people that are getting into Christian rap now. It seems like it's on like there's just so many artists now. Like I said, like there's artists for in the space for everybody. But yeah, at first I was definitely hesitant to tell people I did music, but that was also me just working on my own craft. Like I wasn't gonna go around telling people I do music when I knew I was gonna be good, but I wasn't good yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you started doing music and you decided that this was going to be a lane that you go in, how important was performing and doing shows and tours to you?
Man, it's so important, and it's really tough. Like I said, up here with not that many other Christian artists. I'm lucky to have met some of the few that are doing it at a high level up here, but it's tough to get gigs. I'm lucky I got a show coming up in April I'm super excited about, but just getting that experience can be tough for a lot of people, especially in the internet like day where everyone's able to record music on their own, but booking a show and performing live is totally a whole different world. And I've just been super blessed to be able to do some shows with some of my Christian hip hop friends across the country too. And that's just been an amazing experience.
Well, now that you and I have connected, bro, I'm definitely going to share some resources with you that I think would definitely be of like good advantages for you. So I'll share those with you. We'll exchange numbers and I'll share that. But tell me about the show in April. What's that going to be like?
So it's just I'm opening for a local artist over here. It's not a Christian hip hop show or anything. I'm just super excited though because I'm putting together a band and we're gonna do more of a it's gonna be more of a live music feel. Like I said, I have so many talented friends from church that the fact that I'm able to just grab some of my closest friends and I'm like, we got someone on drums, we got 2 people for guitar, we got someone on keys, someone on bass, like,
Jeez.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to try and figure out how my songs can be played live and do some covers in there. And I don't know, it's just a really exciting time right now.
No, that's really cool, especially because, you know, you're doing this with your group and your friend group. And is this going to be something that's ongoing or is this just for the show?
I would love to keep it going. I'm just going to see how it goes and see how my friends I'm performing with, how they respond to it. If they want to keep doing it, I would love to keep performing with them. But yeah, I really want to develop that skill of performing live. And I've been lucky enough to have some gigs over the last few years, but trying to go more in a direction of performing with the band.
Yeah. What are some questions that you have for perhaps like platforms like us? What are some things that, you know, have been like on your mind about the space and how, you know, things are decided? Is there anything sticking out there?
Yeah, something I've always thought about the last few years is I hear a lot of people saying for young artists that are coming up to nail down like a niche sound, like pick one sound and stick to it? Or would you recommend artists when they're still developing to kind of experiment and try a bunch of different sounds?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. You know, and it goes back to some advice that I got from the late great Chris Chicago. You know, just a real quick blend of this conversation. We started off doing Christian rock, Christian hip hop, and R&B and pop. And he was like, "Hey guys, y'all got to pick a lane. Stick with CHH or do something." He said, "But y'all are all over the place, and radio stations are gonna have a hard time adding your show if you're not consistent." So that was great advice for the radio realm. And I'll say the same thing could be true for you know, the music realm. But you already have an audience. You know,
Yeah.
you already have a fan base that's bubbling up. And so I would say, you know, give your audience what they want. I think one of the biggest things about creatives and influencers, you know, folks like you know, like us, is we have to get away from doing what we want to do and focus on, you know, really hearing the voice of the Lord first, right? But then also delivering to his people what they need. You know, so if you're doing a rap set one day and you just feel the need because the Holy Spirit's telling you to go a cappella, you know, cut it and just let it flow. I mean, it happens all the time. I know that for us, so you know, Trackstars is part of a music group as well. I wasn't a rapper, but I used to kind of help with managing. And Sean and DJ Jeremiah, they rap. And so they would do a show at a church that wasn't really friendly to Christian hip hop or Christian rap. So they started off doing spoken word. And
Gotcha.
they warmed the audience up. And that the audience was like, "Oh, these guys got bars, they're spitting theology, it's sound. Okay, let's see what these young men have to say." And then it was like, "Hey, DJ, drop the beat." And then they could rap, and then the audience was like into it because they had already warmed up to them. So that's one of the things I would definitely say is that you have to warm your audience up, and just keep going from there. You know, keep going from there. I think that's really important. And I like the question that you asked because, you know, we talked about it. It's a changing dynamic. You know, you could do a song like Big Breeze. You could do a song like 1K Few. You could do a song like a Child Like CC or a Wande or a No Big Deal or John Keith, and it might sound different to every person that listens to it. You know?
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, stick to your lane. I just have a hard time like realizing your age, man. Like you seem like you're light years beyond 24, very mature. But then also, I would imagine people still kind of like tease you like you look 17, right?
Yeah, all the time.
And it's a good thing, man. I mean, I noticed you got height on you, so it's not like people think you're a small kid that hasn't grown up yet. But no, it's great, man, that you have youth and you have vigor, vitality, and so many different gifts that God has given you to really push the envelope and make it to that next plateau that God wants to show you. I think great things are in store for your music. I really love what you're about. I love your heart. I love seeing what you do on social media. I'm a little sad that you might be coming off TikTok on Sunday. We all might be coming off.
We all might
be.
be. Yeah.
We'll see, man. I think we always find a way in this country to make things work in our favor. And I think TikTok going away would be too scary for a lot of people, a lot of influencers, and a lot of people wouldn't let the government rest until they did something about it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, man, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can support you, even about the show that you're opening up with in April, when you're going to release information on that so people can, you know, gather and start to get tickets for it. Like, how can they support you?
Yeah, so on all social media, it's just at It's Matt Mogg. That's MATTMOGG. On Spotify, that's MATTMOGG. But yeah, I'll be posting about the show soon once we officially announce it. But yeah, if anyone supports and grabs tickets, I would love to meet you at the show. I'd love to chop it up in the back. But yeah, I'm on all social media at It's Matt Mogg, and you can find out all the information you need.
Because you got an album coming soon, right?
I actually just put out the album a couple weeks ago, but just a bunch of singles all year.
Okay, so what's the album called?
It's called For the Sake of Letting Go, and it's kind of about my journey with God and my journey with mental health.
Oh, dope. Perfect. Listen, guys, thank you so much, Matt, for sitting down with me. You heard it, man. The Independent Artist Spotlight, Matt Mogg. Super exciting artist to listen to and to talk to. I really hope that you guys will go and like and support Matt Mogg. Matt Mogg on all social medias. He is, man, a thriver in this space. I won't even call him up and comer, man. I'll say that the buzz is definitely bubbling over, and you should definitely check him out. It's some great music already published. We know more things are to come. But yeah, y'all make sure you go out and check out the new album. He's ministering to you. He's going to help you, and it's appreciated that you would support. This is your man, Ryan Righteous, the Independent Artist Spotlight, presented by Next Level Provision, and we out. Peace.
The spotlight, okay. Making sure you shine bright, okay. Ryan Righteous, that's right, okay. Track stars too hype, okay. In the artist spotlight, okay. Making sure you shine bright, okay. Ryan Righteous, that's right, okay. Track stars too hype, okay.